Hello and welcome to SpyHards Podcast, where your hosts go deep undercover into the world of spy movies to decipher which films make the knock list. But remember, this information is strictly for your ears only. I'm Agent Scott.
And I'm Cam the Provocateur. And Scott, say naked!
No.
Naked!
Everything about this week's film, no.
Pull up. You know, just recently we were talking on the show about how it takes until the 45-minute mark for people to figure out the knock list question. I think you pretty much resolved it in 45 seconds.
What a surprise. Skip to 1 hour and 30 minutes to find out.
No, I think there's more nuance to be had in the conversation ahead.
No, I think there's actually some interesting stuff we talk about in this episode. So there's a lot to look forward to in about 5-10 minutes time, but we have a New Year's resolution that we need to stick to, which is talking about last week's episode and getting your feedback and your responses to the film. Last week's film was Ice Station Zebra, beloved in many households here in the UK and I imagine worldwide.
Did you say Ice Station Zebra? I think you
that's
did. Yeah,
because you did that as well, didn't you?
By accident twice.
Yeah. Well, if we listen to the episode, it should be Zebra.
I suppose so, yeah.
Well, so it did make the knock list. It was a 3-1 vote. Cam voted no.
That's right.
So we put it out to you. We want to hear back, and we'll be asking the same thing about this week's film for next week. But what did you guys think?
People, calm down. Don't race to your keyboards at this very moment. I know there's a lot of passionate Boss Baby defenders who are just ready to go. Just hold your jets, cool them down for a little bit. We'll get there.
I can hear you all furiously typing your messages now. Why are you doing this film? Why are you hurting us with this? Well, maybe there's something interesting about Boss Baby.
Save those emails for the Boss Baby 2 when we get to that one.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Okay, back to better, safer waters with Ice Station Zebra. And our first message comes from Robert Morton on Twitter. And Robert says, Ice Station Zebra is peak Cold War paranoia. Nuclear secrets, Arctic isolation, and that slow burn who can you trust stuff that spy flicks sometimes forget how to do. Does it deserve the knock list? Yep, because it captures the era's espionage vibe and high-stakes tradecraft. Hashtag Ice Station Zebra.
The thing about Ice Station Zebra is I was kind of like down the middle of the line on that movie. I love elements of it, but it's not a movie that I can see myself running back to a lot in the future. But the fact that it made the knock list won't keep me up at night too much because it's such a unusual film. There is nothing like it on the knock list.
No, it is like, even I drew comparisons last week on social media to that and Where Eagles Dare, which came out the same year.
Yeah.
But they're actually not the same film at all. They just happen to be by the same writer.
No, and even if something like further down the road, like Hunt for Red October, makes the knock list, which would not shock me at all,
Sure.
I would not feel like,
Spoilers.
I wouldn't feel like, oh, well, we have two sub-movies on. It's like, no, like, I think, like, what Ice Station Zebra is doing is very unique. And just the whole roadshow element, like...
It's a hangout movie, isn't it?
The
it's a hangout
prolonged hangout on a sub and stare at ice for 2 hours, like...
It has a goddamn intermission.
Where are you going to get that?
Nowhere else. Only at Ice Station Zebra.
That's right. Yes, and so the next actually email that I have to read comes in from Mike.
Where can people email us at, Cam?
Of course, that's mail@spyhards.com. And this one comes in from Michael Fenimore Cox, who writes, Greetings, Scott and Cam, Agent Fenimore reporting. Ice Station Zebra is a classic Cold War thriller with several elements I love. Patrick McGowan's magnetic presence, John Sturges' steady hand as director of some of my favorite celluloid, and he mentions The Great Escape and The Magnificent Seven here as examples.
As one should.
He doesn't mention the Scarlet Cape, though, or coat.
The fact that you messed up the title of the film and he didn't mention it means I don't like either of you. You're in my bad books now.
Legrand's majestic score and the pulp source material. So many great Alistair MacLean novels were adapted in the 60s and 70s. tension, double agent intrigue, and high stakes cat and mouse, boys on a mission, classic Cold War confrontations. And he has a little bit of a fun fact he included.
Oh.
While filming Ice Station Zebra, Patrick McGoohan was also shooting his iconic TV series The Prisoner. To accommodate his schedule, the episode Do Not Forsake Me, Oh My Darling was written so that Number 6's mind could be transferred into another character's body. Additionally, in The Girl Who Was Death, Number 6 appeared in a Sherlock Holmes disguise, allowing McGoohan's stunt double, Frank Mayer, to perform many of the action scenes.
Well, there you go. Look what Ice Station Zebra gave us.
Right? Like, there's a lot of crossover with The Prisoner. The existence of Ice Station Zebra affected the journey of The Prisoner.
And two things I want to mention there. Firstly, I know you guys want us to cover The Prisoner, and we will.
Yep.
On our Patreon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Patreon.com/SpyHards. And I want to shout out Michael Fenimore. He's one of our 00 agents over there, our biggest supporters, and we love you, Michael. Thanks for the support.
Yes, 100%. Thank you.
On the other side of the coin, perhaps slightly more negative, it's Steve Hughes at Mr. Lee Dragon on Twitter. I should say X, but you just can't make me. It's never been a film I have rated too highly. Though it is enjoyable, I'm a big Pat McGoohan fan, and I still think he's the best thing about the movie. Agreed with the podcast commentary about the model work. It's extraordinary. Yes, it is. It is, for me, what it's always been, a lazy Sunday afternoon film. I enjoyed the podcast, and nice to have the Fighting on Film fellas lads sit in too. So thank you. No, thank you, Steve.
Yeah, and I think Steve is probably sitting in the same kind of place I am, where I admire a lot of the elements, and he mentions the
Canada.
Well, I don't know where he's from, but like the Patrick McGoohan and model work. That's the two things I like the most in the movie as well. But it doesn't quite connect with me the same way something like Where Eagles Dare does.
No, and I can understand that. I can understand that. History would say that's likely true. The last one comes from our Facebook by William Smithy, and they write, I would have liked to have watched this film in Howard Hughes' private theatre with him to hear his joy of the film. And for those who don't know, this was a massive Howard Hughes. He was a big fan of this film, and I think it was the last one he watched before he died.
Yeah, and he also bought a TV station just to show this film in perpetuity.
Yeah. And then they add, though I'd need to avoid anything he offered to drink.
Right.
I don't know what the Howard Hughes story is there. Like, was he like roofing people?
No. The thing about Howard Hughes was he was a recluse who was like peeing in jars.
Oh,
yeah.
I think that's actually worse somehow.
Yeah, that is worse. That's why that's the joke there. It's interesting because the Howard Hughes element is really fascinating when it comes to Ice Station Zebra and how someone who had absolutely nothing to do with the making of the film had quite a significant impact on the film's legacy.
Or ice. He lived in Nevada.
Well, yes, he had nothing to do with ice at all. But if he'd been alive nowadays, it would be really interesting to like have a Howard Hughes commentary on the film because he's like studied it to pieces.
If we had him on, what would you say his favorite spy movie is?
Ice Station Zebra.
Is that what he's answering? Okay.
Yes,
right.
100%.
No one's given that as an answer before.
No, that would be his answer. I did see
a weird interview.
There were people, though, it would be a very strange one, like super fan of Ice Station Zebra, Howard Hughes.
But I bought all the models. Here they are.
I did see people saying that this was like one of their favorites that they would watch over and over again. So they are out there. What's the term for Ice Station Zebra heads? Is it just the zebras? Ice Station's zebras?
Zeb heads?
Zeb heads?
Icicles?
Zebra files?
Ooh.
No. Pull up.
Well, speaking of your new favorite, I think it's about time we got to this week's film cam. Well, Cam, my nappy's full of poop and I'm getting grouchy. What are we talking about?
Well, wake up, little halflings, because we're here this week to talk about 2017's The Boss Baby, the DreamWorks animated film with voices from Alec Baldwin, Tobey Maguire, and more.
I feel like this film has been the butt of our jokes for many years. And now we've come to put talcum powder on that butt and wrap a nappy around it.
And make a little cloud, as we see in the movie.
Yeah, a little fart cloud. Is the film the fart cloud? We'll find out.
Yes, and now I'm wondering if the joke was on us all along, because here we are to review The Boss Baby.
I think, like, in terms of our completionist status, we did have to do this at some point. And it's been a while since we've done an animation, so I'm not against it. It's just like, it's The Boss Baby.
It is, and is the perhaps first of two, because there is a sequel to this film. So we have long talked about that this was the franchise hanging over us. And there aren't a lot of those.
The sword, the nappy of Damocles is hanging over our heads.
It was hanging over us. We knew it existed. We knew that it had to be covered. I guess the other one, and I'm sure there's people listening who are just like, really? But it's true. The Despicable Me films also fall under Spy-Fi. And there's like 4 of them. And we've never really known what to do about it. And so The Boss Baby at least is a modest 2-film series. So there is that going for it.
I think when we sit through the 4 Despicable Me's, maybe by that point there's 5 Despicable Me's.
Probably.
We'll long for the day of Boss Baby.
I really think we should combine them 2 movies per episode when we do the Despicable Me's.
I think we should just do the Despicable Me's and just watch all of them and just talk about it as one go.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Like, we're having to do the torture so the audience doesn't have to do it.
Right.
We just have a week where we just live Minion.
In retrospect, where you sit now, should we have done both Boss Babies in one episode?
That is an excellent point that I wish I'd thought of.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
I'm not saying I necessarily hated this film.
Yeah, no, I'm not either.
But maybe that would have been a better idea.
Yes. Well, you know what? 2026, the year of acknowledging our mistakes and learning from them, folks.
Accepting them. And hey, we're babies. We're learning.
That's right.
We're still crawling around on the ground.
That's right. Hang in there, baby.
Okay. Well, if you've never, ever enjoyed the delights of The Boss Baby, well, here is your synopsis. The Boss Baby. Born leader. I think that's a catchy tagline. A story about how a new baby's arrival impacts a family, told from the point of view of a delightfully unreliable narrator, a wildly imaginative 7-year-old named Tim.
Although, isn't the narrator really like the Tobey Maguire adult version of Tim?
Well, it's still Tim.
Yeah, but isn't him reflecting on himself when he's young?
No, I actually kind of agree with this point, because one of my notes is, and hey, let's start heady.
Yes.
Okay? Let's go real big. Is, I think Kurosawa was thinking of this film when he made Rashomon.
Oh, okay. So he had a time machine to bounce forward to 2017 and was like, holy smokes, lightning bulb is going off. I'm going back to the 50s to make Rashomon.
And he also, this isn't a known fact, but, Cam and I are in the business, I suppose, so we know these things. Kurosawa was also into dressing up as an adult baby. So
this poor man made some of the greatest cinematic achievements of all time, and this is how you are besmirching his fair name.
The 7 Samurai.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good, actually.
Okay.
I'm on board.
Sold.
Oh, and Rashomon. Diaper Rashomon.
Oh. I had no idea we'd go down this way. That was good. If you have another Kurosawa joke to make him turn in his grave even faster, do let us know. But yeah, there is a sense of an unreliable narrator in this film, because you're introduced to the film, but in this imaginary world that Tim lives in, and they go often in sequences into this imaginary world, but it really is hard to tell where Tim's imagination stops and the real world begins.
Yeah, that's true.
So, this is all told through his perspective. And there's even a scene, for instance, where in the garden, they're having a little fight, and he's hanging onto the back of Alec Baldwin's baby's car.
Like a police car, yeah.
Like a police car. And it's being presented as normally they're driving around the garden, but the car is like rocket propelled or whatever. And then you see the parents looking in the garden, and they're going at 0 miles per hour.
I actually thought that was a really funny gag. It did get a
Yeah,
laugh out
me
of me
too.
because it was
Yeah.
like directed so dramatically, where you had like the car go flying over his head at one point too, and you see
Hmm.
the feet pushing the little pedals on. It's basically like those self-propelled little cars kids would have.
Like the play school cars, whatever they're called.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not the Power Wheels that the spoiled kids had, but
No, no, no. It was like it was red and yellow was the one we had. Both
sure.
has like the color around the world, but like, and you sit inside of it.
Yeah, we had like a little black truck one we would use.
Sure.
We got it actually when we were older, and we'd use it to drive off a dock at the lake. But same idea, same idea.
They were 18 and 16 folks, by the way.
That's
They
right,
just that's just the best they could do.
exactly. But like that gag of setting up this incredibly dynamic chase action sequence in the backyard of a house, and we're seeing it,
Hmm.
as you said, through Tim's entire point of view. It's crazy. They're obviously having a lot of fun with action movie dynamics and playing
Yep.
around with what you've seen in 1,000 action movies, and then to
Hmm.
to get that shot from the parents' point of view of the slowest thing ever happening, of just like a kid being dragged at like a snail's pace behind a like self-propelled little car. It was actually a very funny gag.
It was a funny gag, but that was one of the moments that said to me that, oh, this is unreliable.
Yeah, sure.
And so then the whole film is contextually unreliable.
I think that makes sense because if it wasn't presented that way, it would be really frustrating
Yeah.
because you would have these things going on that are absolutely insane and you'd be questioning the reality of the world.
Like, I mean, calling back to another kids' film we did, Cats and Dogs, they made an effort to make sure the humans were hid away from the world of the cats and dogs.
Hmm.
There's a lot of steps taken to sort of differentiate the two worlds. Whereas this baby society are operating in the open, basically.
Yeah. Do you remember, were they still doing that in Cats and Dogs 3 or did they drop the rules by then?
I think they dropped the rules by 3, but there also wasn't a sense of there being a wider world.
Yeah,
Whereas in 2, you had like Roger Moore playing a dog and stuff like that. Like there was a bigger spy kingdom.
there was definitely. Yeah.
But yeah, so like I actually wrote down Rashomon quite early on
Mhm.
in my notes, I mean, because it is sort of the touchstone for unreliable narrators. So yeah, I think there is a sense of that in this film.
Although there's only one narrator in this film versus Rashomon, it's three.
Who has 3? Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, sure, but the idea is that you're being told a story from one perspective that necessarily isn't the truth.
Yeah, it actually is. Rashomon lines up really well with the Ridley Scott film, The Last Battle, from a couple years ago. That's a really
Okay.
interesting movie. But yeah, no, like the unreliable narrator thing, which goes back, well before Kurosawa into, the literary world. Like I think it's something that is very valuable to kids' films because it allows creators to present really colorful things that speak to a kid, while the
Hmm.
parents in the audience can look at what's going on and go, "Oh, right, yes."
Yeah, like you look at the back end of that, the offices where they work,
Mm,
the family, or like the back end of the Vegas presentation. Like we've been to Las Vegas. There's no launch pads for rockets there.
not yet.
Well, I mean, Elon's got big plans.
It's true.
When he can get off of X, maybe he can get on with that. Right now, he's digging tunnels underneath Las Vegas, and he's going very slowly at that.
There used to be Star Trek: The Experience in Vegas. Maybe there was some
Mm.
rocket launching points at that point.
Having been there were certainly a few people who were launching their rockets at Star Trek: The Experience.
Yeah, definitely. Umox.
I was once invited to a Klingon after party in a hotel room by a couple.
Wow. Kapla.
The man was in full Klingon regalia. I should have asked him if he was going to keep the turtle head on.
Mm, mm.
How far down does the makeup go?
You'd have to investigate that one.
I missed out on that opportunity, listeners. I'm sorry to disappoint. I did turn that down.
Hmm.
Klingon STDs are really hard to get rid of. Doxycycline does not cut it.
Worse than tribbles.
So I've heard. Have you ever seen The Boss Baby before?
No. I tend to find I'm someone who will make an appointment to watch pretty much any Disney animated film. My sister and I will usually go out and see them.
Sure.
And so, recently we saw Zootopia 2, which was delightful, but we went and saw Moana
Mhm.
2, which was a complete nothing of a movie. we'll see the ones whether they're good or bad. We'll still see them. We saw Wish, was it the end of 2024 or something?
Yep.
But when it comes to the DreamWorks animated films, of which this is one of many, they are far more hit and miss for me. I will make an effort
Mhm.
to go see like the How to Train Your Dragon films because they've kind of earned my dollar.
Sure.
But I find a lot of DreamWorks stuff, and we talked about this when we did Penguins of Madagascar a few years ago.
Right.
Um, they tend to be very what I call like children's films versus like I think Disney makes family films that you can enjoy of any age, and there's a lot of thematics that are really interesting
Mm-hmm.
as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I find DreamWorks, it's a lot of in your face gags, as high energy as humanly possible, a lot of celeb voice cameos or voice appearances that often aren't even that warranted. Like in this film, you have like Jimmy Kimmel as the voice of the father. Like, why? He's not doing anything.
No.
It's just there because
Yeah.
they can put the name on a poster and be like, look, you've got Jimmy Kimmel and Lisa Kudrow as the parents. Like, who cares?
Mhm.
They don't do anything in the movie. It doesn't matter. But that's like a DreamWorks approach, is to just like clog it up with stars, gags, and a lot of their movies feel very thin and kind of repeated formula to me. Repeated baby formula.
Very good. Very good. That does seem to be an odd approach, given if they and I agree with you. I don't think that they're family films. I think they're definitely targeted at kids. And it's actually one of the things I'll talk about later.
Hmm.
Or maybe I just did. Who knows? But why get like all this stunt casting when the kids who are going don't care if Jimmy Kimmel's in the film or not?
I don't know. It must be just to draw in the parents, because if you're like a parent who's not necessarily following which movies are which. Maybe you don't know the difference between DreamWorks and Disney. And I know people out there who don't. Like they just would look and say, animated film. I guess it's Disney. I don't know. And there's maybe a few things playing. And you look at the poster. Oh, well, this has Alec Baldwin as a star. Okay, I like
Uh-huh.
Alec Baldwin. I'll go see that one. I don't mind listening to his voice if I'm going to take my kids to a movie.
Yeah, I guess it just seems like the Alec Baldwin makes sense because it's the lead voice,
Yeah.
I guess, and Tobey Maguire, I guess, as well. But yeah, it just feels weird to have like Jimmy Kimmel.
I guess it's just like you put enough of those names on a poster and it kind of is marketing unto itself. Which
Yeah.
I've always appreciated that.
Or he talks about it on his show or whatever.
Definitely, yeah. Maybe he does like a late night appearance or something like that and talks about Jimmy Kimmel, yes, on his show. But other guests show up on late night shows that maybe,
Mhm.
the parents hear. But it's like I've always appreciated like when it comes to Pixar that
Mhm.
they will have celebs doing the voices, but it's very much driven by casting. Who's appropriate casting? What is going to like which actor are we going to get that will really bring these characters to life? Look at like the original Incredibles. And you have like Holly Hunter and Craig T. Nelson.
Mhm.
They're both known names. Craig T. Nelson was a TV star. Holly Hunter's been in countless movies, won an Oscar. But they're not at the top of these are the biggest A-list stars that the whole audience is paying attention to.
Well, it's not Holly Hunter is not stunt casting.
No.
She's a fine actor, but like I don't. Is she a star?
To a degree, yes, but she's not.
I don't think she could open a film.
If it was the DreamWorks approach, they'd be like, you got to get Julia Roberts or Sandra Bullock.
Yeah,
That kind of
that's
thing.
the big ticket item. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm not in the same boat as you. I don't really go to see animations. I don't really reach for kids' films.
Mm-hmm.
Truth be told, I'm not a Disney guy. Never really understood the hype for Disney. Like I've seen the films. I understand why people think Lion King is a good film. I quite enjoy Lion King, but like I think I can count on one hand the amount of times I've seen Lion King in my life,
Sure.
and I'm fine with never seeing it again.
We did do the Jungle Book on the Patreon and had a good time with that one.
I had a good time. Yeah. I like what they do,
Mm-hmm.
but it's very much like, well, firstly, Disney don't make films like that anymore.
No.
If they made more films like that, maybe I'd pay more attention. But yeah, I guess the only thing I think the only animation series that would almost guarantee I would turn up is Toy Story.
Sure, yeah.
I don't think I can name another one.
What about Incredibles 3?
No, I didn't really like the second one that much.
Yeah, the second one I liked it, but it was nowhere near.
And also, Brad Bird's not doing it, so.
He is doing the third one.
Oh, I heard he wasn't. Okay.
Yeah, Brad Bird is returning to do Incredibles 3.
Fine.
So like Yeah, I'll typically show up because I find the quality level is high enough
Sure.
that I've never. I can only think of one Pixar movie that I'll keep quiet for now, but I've only walked out of one
Hmm.
that I was like, that was bad. The other ones may not hit high bars, but I am at least entertained by them.
Which I think is really all you can ask for a film like this.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, or at least some aim to be higher. And I suppose actually, if you're talking animation, do you count Avatar as animation?
I mean, this gets into that whole area we live in now where they put out whether it's Avatar films or these Disney live action remakes that are
Mm,
almost entirely animation.
yeah.
Uh I I don't even know what to make of this anymore. We live in a world now where animated films are our live action films.
Yeah, and I can also go on Sora 2 and make my own animation film.
Yeah.
Like it's not as fancy as it used to be.
Where I find animation more interesting is what's going on right now with like the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse films, which
Fine, I will go see the third one of that. I saw both in theaters, and I will go and see the third one when it comes out. So I'll give you that. It's a good point.
they're very much pushing animation in a direction we've never really seen before, especially in North
Hmm.
American animation.
Sure.
And when I hear about like the amount of work and technology that had to be developed to create the character of Spider-Punk in the
Yeah.
last Spider-Verse movie, I go like,
Hmm.
this is exciting. And I think it's something that whether it's DreamWorks or Disney, they've relied on the same software package for too long now. And there's a
Hmm.
sameness to the visual look to a lot of these movies that once upon a time it was revolutionary,
Yeah.
but now it's feeling kind of tired. And I think you need places like what Sony's doing with the Spider-Man films to push that forward and get competition going, and let's get some new visuals.
I will also say I've seen all of the new Dragon Ball films in theaters. And if there is
Okay.
another one, which I think they're planning another one, I will also see that too.
Mhm.
But that's not very often.
Yeah,
It's only been about 3 in the last 10 years, 20 years maybe.
right. And I will put up my hand and say I have not seen K-pop Demon Hunters, which is something that's really connected with people and is
It's actually on
also
my list this Christmas to watch. I know this is being released after Christmas. We're recording it before,
yeah,
just to preface. But like, I actually intend on watching it over Christmas.
I am planning to as well. So I guess I've seen it at the time this is coming out, but
Mm.
it
We'll
is
put a little
something
like post out about our thoughts on K-pop Demon Hunters in case you will care.
but that's a movie that's also doing different things with animation that has caught eyeballs in a big way
Yeah.
and I think is going to maybe push things in a different way. And that's the thing with like a movie like The Boss Baby, which is why I wouldn't have seen it at the time, is it just felt like more of the same. If I have young kids, I probably would have taken them to it. But
Yeah.
as someone who was 36 years old when this came out
Mm-hmm.
and single and whatever else, I was not going to be going to see The Boss Baby.
No. And also, I grew up on films like Look Who's Talking. And that is more like if I wanted this kind of comedy, I'd reach for that.
And I'm not a big baby guy when it comes to like movies and entertainment. Like I just
No.
it's not something that is going to draw me in. I remember there was like a documentary.
What's the one with the 3 dads? I can't
Oh,
remember
Three
the
Men
name
and a
of it
Baby.
now. 3 Men and a Baby. Another good one.
Yeah, it has a weird 80s drug subplot, but yes, it's kind of fun. Um,
Yeah.
but like I'm just not someone who is going to be drawn in by the visual appeal of babies to a movie.
No.
That's just not me at all.
Hmm.
And I remember there was that documentary that came out called Babies, and it was just 95 minutes of babies in a documentary, and I was like, that would be my nightmare to have to sit through this. I'd be so bored.
Hmm.
And I remember there was a critic, Eric D. Snyder, who I was a big fan of. He's not writing as much anymore, but he did a review of the movie Babies,
Hmm.
where he only used one word, and it was babies. And it was just babies, 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 and it would just go across, and it was like 500 words of just using the word babies. It was incredible,
Perfect.
and it summed up the movie. He's like, no, that is literally what this movie is.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a fun way to review a movie that's almost unreviewable.
Well, Cam, it's feeding time.
It is. Wah.
Getting hungry.
Yeah.
Give me my behind the scenes.
Okay, there's actually some interesting things to go on with the Boss Baby here. So,
Okay.
there may be some people who are listening to this episode a little bit with a begrudging sense of obligation of like, well, I listen to this show every week, but I got to make it through the Boss Baby. But there's some nuggets here that are actually kind of interesting about the Boss Baby.
And babies love chicken nuggets.
That ties into the larger spy world.
So do I.
So, mm. So this was based loosely on a book by Californian author and illustrator Marla Frazee,
Mhm.
who started out as an illustrator initially and did many children's books before also writing her own work. And she put out books like Roller Coaster, Santa Claus, the world's #1 toy expert, and A Couple of Boys Have the Best Week Ever. And in 2007, she published the book The Boss Baby. Now, this book caught the attention of director Tom McGrath, the director of this film. He loved it and saw it as a really interesting parenting metaphor. And I'm guessing the book is a little more just the idea of a baby coming into the house and being the boss, which I think is like a concept that is heavily expanded on in this movie. But here was more the idea that the baby is the new ruler of the house and how it's often difficult for another kid to accept this as being part of their life.
That's definitely part of this film. Not something I could really vibe with, though, because despite being for a few years the oldest brother in my family and then becoming the middle child and having a brother who's 9 years younger than me
Yeah.
and one who's 5 years younger than me, I've never felt that sort of like, how dare they exist.
I don't recall that either because I'm the oldest and I have a sister who's 2 years younger. She's appeared on the show, of course. But I mean, my parents would have to answer this question, but I don't think there was any real growing pains when, she joined us. They would say more so that we were really funny together and I'd be dragging her around by one foot and we were playing all the time. And I just don't recall there being this huge growing pains, but I was also probably 2, I think, at the time, versus in this movie, the kid is more like, I don't know, 5? Something like that. So maybe it makes sense that there's a little more of a struggle there.
Maybe when you've got like a sense of you as a person, but I remember being I mean, before my stepbrothers turned up, it was just me.
Yeah.
And then, my first brother came along, and I was 5.
Mhm.
I remember being really excited to have a brother. I named him.
Yeah, I have a friend who's got 2 kids, and her oldest is her daughter. And when the son was born, the daughter said she wanted to throw it in a dumpster. So clearly, that was a case where that sort of struggle was much more felt.
Maybe it is. To be fair, this is something I have heard of happening. This isn't a new concept.
Yeah.
It's just not one I or you can particularly get behind because we both have quite friendly relationships with our siblings.
Yeah.
Healthy.
To be fair, my friends' kids are close too, but it was just that was the immediate reaction of like a 2 or 3-year-old girl at that time.
And you can't really account for the reactions of kids.
No, of course not. Of course not.
They're emotional wrecks.
Exactly.
As we are.
Exactly. We went from emotional wrecks to larger emotional wrecks.
Yeah, we just don't have to have someone clean our bums for us.
Exactly.
At least for another 40 years.
Oh boy, I wish 40.
Oh.
Oh boy. So the director Tom McGrath, born in Washington, he's a writer-director and started out, he did an animated short called The Thing That Lurked in the Tub. He worked in the animation department on that film. And then went and worked in Liquid Television, the TV series, in the late 80s. He worked in the animation departments on movies like Cool World, Space Jam, Ants, and The Road to El Dorado. Before directing and storyboarding some Ren and Stimpy episodes, as well as the TV show Kablam. And then in 2005, he wrote and directed a movie called Madagascar for DreamWorks.
So was he the guy behind Penguins as well?
They came out of that. He didn't actually direct Penguins. He produced it.
I see.
But he did direct and write Madagascar, Escape to Africa, and Madagascar 3. He also did the movie Megamind. And so this movie came out right after Madagascar 3.
Okay. Sure.
So he's actually the creator of the Penguins of Madagascar.
Yeah. They're in the first Madagascar film anyway, so
Yeah.
the characters were created then.
Yeah.
At least I'm familiar with his work, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have covered it in depth. So He was inspired with this film to base it on 1950s and 60s Disney films, and made the animation team watch the opening scene of Lady and the Tramp for reference. And I did the research on this before watching the movie, and so like I know Lady and the Tramp really well, and that's
Mhm.
the opening scene is like the Christmas Day where the dogs arrive, Lady arrives, um, but I got to be honest with you, with the like frenetic pacing of Boss Baby, I never really ever thought of classic Disney.
Is it the coming through the door and the thing on the stairs? Is that what they're going for? Is that the shot?
I guess so.
Like, was the dog on the stairs or?
I think it was Christmas Day, and I think the dog is like presented to the wife.
Hmm. Someone once put me on the spot and asked me to pick my favorite Disney film,
Mm,
and I said Lady and the Tramp, and for years they've mocked me.
okay,
And I don't think it is my favorite Disney film,
right.
but it was sort of a knee-jerk reaction, anything I could think of in the like heat of the moment. And then I think about it, like, it's not that bad of a film. It's
No,
one I watched quite a bit as a kid.
no, that's before the animation takes a bit of a downgrade. The animation's beautiful in that movie.
Hmm.
I think that definitely falls in especially those classics from 37 to 59. That's a pretty incredible batch of movies. I actually just went the other night, 2 nights ago, to see Fantasia on the big screen,
Hmm.
which I'd never
Yeah.
gotten to see. And like just the animation in that is absolutely mind boggling.
Well, James, if you're listening, screw you. This is my vengeance.
Who's
It's called Boss Baby.
James?
You know him. The person who put me on the spot to ask me about the film.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, come on. That's 2 for Lady and the Tramp there, James.
Yeah, there you go.
Wait. What did James say his favorite Disney film was?
I think he said something like Lion King.
Okay, that's the fair answer.
No, I think he said Aladdin, actually, which is a fun film. Yeah.
I would tend to go Pinocchio. That's my go-to.
I've never had a fondness for Pinocchio.
I like the darkness of it.
You do this all the time. We were talking about Christmas films recently. Another animation we recorded this week, despite these coming out at separate times. We did our episode on Patreon for the Polar Express just the other day, and Cam was saying how much he likes Batman 2 as a Christmas film. Sorry, Batman Returns as a Christmas film because it's about a guy being alone at Christmas. And I'm like, bro, go hug someone, see a therapist or something.
Everyone in that movie should go to a therapist. Their lives would be better.
I think so.
And I would like it just noted, you mentioned there, we did back-to-back, day-to-day recordings of Boss Baby and Polar Express. I watched them both in the same day.
Oh, that's an interesting. Okay, hang on. What's the best way to watch it? I think the best way is to watch Polar Express first.
Which I did. Watched that in the morning. We recorded the episode. And then after that, I retired back to the couch and watched Boss Baby.
Yeah, I think that works as a bit of a nice aperitif.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A palate cleanser. It's far lighter.
It was.
Yeah.
And so McGrath, though, also acknowledged a couple other movies he said were influences. He was looking for kind of the comedy stylings of the Pink Panther films and Young Frankenstein, the Mel Brooks classic.
Sure.
Did that come across to you?
Not in the slightest.
He talks about like the classic Disney thing. And when I'm watching
I can see that.
I can't really see classic Disney. What I see more so is when you have Tim's fantasies and the art style changes.
Yeah. Okay.
One of them looks a lot like the I Just Can't Wait to Be King musical number from The Lion King. So that's 90s. And then some of the artwork when he's like in ninja mode looks a lot like The Incredibles, which is like the 2000s.
Sure. I can't, but like, just because something has inspired something doesn't mean it has to be a reference to it. Like, it can just be like, this, I watched this and it helped me get to the next thing.
Sure, but what I'm saying is he's like referring to 50s, 60s stuff. And I'm like, well, I'm seeing more 90s, 2000s.
No, but what I'm saying is he's pointing out those references because that's how he sees himself getting to that point. It might not actually been how he got to that point, but that's how he personally sees it.
Sure. Yeah, that's a fair point.
And that's his creative process, I suppose.
That's right. And he is the guy behind the Madagascar franchise and the Boss Baby franchise. So he's far more successful than me. So we should be bowing down to him.
He has a franchise. What do you have?
Is this a franchise?
Not unless we have a spin-off.
Okay. Does the Patreon episodes count, like OSS?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind.
No. If we ever did that like SpyHards book club spin-off
Mm,
that we've talked about,
you've talked about.
well, we wouldn't be hosting it. So like
Yeah.
we've talked about the idea.
True.
That would be a spin-off, and then we would be franchisees, I guess.
Yeah, SpyHards off the books. Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Right? It's got a
That's
title.
a good title.
I know,
Yeah, that's
right?
a good title.
Well, there you go.
Okay. The concept's there, folks. We just need some hosts.
Yeah.
If you have an idea, you want to pick up the gauntlet, drop us an email.
If ever there was an episode to advertise for said hosts, it's the Boss Baby episode.
We don't even want to be here.
So the writer of this film, McGrath, as I said, was the director of the film, but he did not write The Boss Baby.
Okay.
The writing credit falls on a guy named Michael McCullers, who started out in the Austin Powers universe.
Wow.
He was a writer's assistant on the first film. His
Uh-huh.
first co-writing actual credit was the MTV special Austin Powers Electric Psychedelic Pussycat Swingers Club,
A classic.
which we'll obviously have to cover when we do like on OSS, right?
Sure.
That'd be incredible. A 1990s Austin Powers special?
Yeah. How long is it?
45 minutes.
For real?
Yeah.
That's definitely happening on the Patreon.
Uh-huh.
It's us getting to do Austin Powers before we do Austin Powers.
Yeah, we're doing this.
Okay, put it on the list. Let's do it.
Okay. So McCullers joined Saturday Night Live for its 23rd season.
Mhm.
And then also went on, he co-wrote the next two Austin Powers films.
Okay.
Co-wrote Undercover Brother.
This sounds like a future interview.
Uh-huh. He also co-wrote Thunderbirds, the Jonathan Frakes directed adaptation of the TV series.
I have to get this guy on. Sorry, what's his name again?
Michael McCullers.
I am going to look him up whilst you talk.
But then there's like a pivot point. In 2008, he writes and directs the film Baby Mama, starring Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, who we would have worked with on Saturday Night Live, which introduces babies into the fold. He then writes Mr. Peabody and Sherman, the adaptation of the kids' cartoon. That's like a big animated film. Now you're taking the babies of Baby Mama and the kids' animation of Peabody and Sherman, combining them, and that rolls right into The Boss Baby. And since then, he has written Hotel Transylvania 3,
Right.
as well as Boss Baby Family Business. And he's currently working on Shrek 5.
Oh, yeah. Shrek 5 is a thing, isn't it?
It is. DreamWorks is working on that right now, and that's him reteaming with Mike Myers from his Austin Powers days.
Wow. Okay. I've looked him up. He might be contactable. Who knows what the future may hold?
Isn't that interesting, though? Like, because when you think of, like, say, Austin Powers, and Undercover Brother, and, you know, movies of that ilk, you think, like, oh, they're all different people just trying to jump off the popularity of Austin Powers. You don't realize there's a common architect among them.
No, I had no idea. Yeah, I basically, I've saved 3 tabs of his details. I'm going to dive into him when I'm done with this.
Yeah. And there was some casting, or rather recasting, going on this movie.
Okay.
Originally, the villain Francis was going to be voiced by Kevin Spacey. And then Kevin Spacey fell out, and Steve Buscemi replaced him.
For the best.
So yes, this would have been right around the time of the Me Too stuff and the allegations coming out against Kevin Spacey. So this makes sense. And Steve Buscemi, always welcome. Of course, I immediately flash back to Spy Kids 2, where he was so much fun.
Or his most infamous line, "Hello, fellow kids."
Of course, yes. And also,
I think it was actually "What's up, fellow kids," or "What up, fellow kids." So I've really butchered it, but it wasn't my line.
No, from 30 Rock, Tina Fey, tying it back to Baby Mama.
It's all connected.
It's all connected. But I also think of another great bit of voice work Steve Buscemi did, which was the villain in Monsters, Inc., where he's a lot of fun.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah, Randall.
Okay, yeah.
So the budget for this film was $125 million. Domestically, it did 175. International, 353. For a worldwide total of $528 million. So this was a hit.
I can believe it. It spawned sequels.
and it landed at number 18 for the year between Kong Skull Island and Dunkirk.
I did see Dunkirk. I didn't see Kong Skull Island.
Oh, it's a fun movie, actually.
I'm not a big like Kong, Godzilla,
mhm.
monster movies, kaiju stuff kind of guy. So I was just like, it's a big monkey. Ape. I know. Ape.
Of the American stuff, I'm not big on the new Kong and Godzilla stuff at all.
Mhm.
I think a lot of them are
Mhm.
quite terrible. But of them, I enjoyed the first Godzilla and Kong Skull Island. The rest are very disposable.
I've seen more of the classic Japanese Godzilla films than I have any of the Western ones.
Yeah, I think you're fine.
But they all tend to like fold into one for me. Like it's a lot of the same beats.
I just find though there's like thematic points of interest in the Japanese
Sure.
films.
Oh yeah,
A lot?
There's way more in those than there are in the Western ones.
Yeah, the Western ones are just dumb.
I think I saw the Roland Emmerich one in the 90s. I was like, okay, we don't get it.
Yeah, and the new Kong Godzilla films, the ones where they're paired up, are just dumb. It's just watch animation hit each other for like 2 hours straight, and that's that.
Yeah, not a fan.
No, me neither. The top 3 for this year: number 1 was Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Number 2 was the Beauty and the Beast live action remake, and number 3 was The Fate of the Furious.
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, was I furious.
Yeah, that was not a good one. Not a good one at all.
No.
The beginning of the end.
Yeah, we're still waiting for part 2 of 10.
We'll see if it happens. We'll see. The last one cost a lot of money and didn't really deliver on that, so we'll see.
No.
So this was nominated for an Oscar. It was up for Best Animated Film.
Mm-hmm.
The other nominees were The Breadwinner, Coco, Ferdinand, and Loving Vincent. Scott, what won?
It's got to be Coco, surely.
100% Coco ran away with it.
That's like one of the only ones I've seen recently. That's the only one I've seen in that list apart from this.
And not to say too much about my thoughts on The Boss Baby or some of these others, this must have been a weaker year for animation because like Ferdinand and Boss Baby were not particularly well-reviewed animated films.
Was that about a dog, Ferdinand?
No, it was about a bull, I believe. That was John Cena.
Oh, okay.
But like, this is like not, I don't know, Loving Vincent and The Breadwinner may be great, but like in terms of like American animation, it seems like they were kind of looking to fill some slots on this year.
Sure.
Whereas like some years you have like a Pixar thing, a Disney
it's
film.
It's a glut of just like, oh yeah, I can see how this could be or this couldn't be.
Yeah, like there's years where it's like, say like we talked about it, like the Spider-Man Spider-Verse film facing off against like a really great Pixar film, and you go, makes sense, makes sense.
Yeah. Whereas this could be just a case of like, that was all that was released, so of course it got nominated.
Yeah, like, and Coco feels like a bit of a runaway train in that category.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So this movie also spawned a symposium that was held in Las Vegas, Scott.
Oh.
In 2022, you had the first annual Boss Baby Symposium, in which it welcomed virtual presentations that engage in interdisciplinary analysis, interpretation, and critique of the original Boss Baby movie. We seek to inspire multifaceted discussion of Boss Baby from a number of viewpoints, emphasizing the many fascinating and diverse intersections between Boss Baby and issues of personal interest.
So we're going to abandon the Star Trek convention this year and go to that instead?
So that was the first one in 2022. There was another one in 2023. And I don't know if there's been one since. Not that I can find noted. But a lot of people thought it was a joke and were actually talking to the organizers like, is this some sort of troll job? And they were like, no, this is not.
I mean, I kind of want to go like track down photos of it.
Right? I mean, it's virtual.
Like, is everyone dressing up like... No, but like, is everyone dressing up like the Boss Baby?
I mean, I'd like to think so.
Everyone has to be in black suits. It'd be like an MIB convention.
Could you prepare like a 15-minute analytical piece on Boss Baby?
Yeah, easily. I'd do it on like the idea of like replacement theory or something like that.
Sure.
Yeah. Quite easily, but that's like English major high school level shit.
So what I'm going to do now is say that at the next Boss Baby Symposium, you, on behalf of SpyHards, will be appearing and giving a 15-minute lecture.
the joke is, you could book that, and I would rock the shit out of it. I'd have them laughing. I'd have all 12 people laughing.
Now, would that be like a real feather in the cap of the podcast that you appeared at the Boss Baby Symposium?
Like, we're never going to get picked as like a best of show for James Bond. That always goes to like some weird choices that people want to give awards to some of those shows. But yeah, whatever. But there's not many in contention for the best of Boss Baby. So I'm all for it.
I think at the end of the day, we've done some cool things along the road. We've interviewed fascinating people.
Yeah.
You know, you've hosted film events in London. There's all sorts of cool stuff this podcast has allowed us to be able to do.
Sure.
It is, you know, a genuine like honor. We get to do a lot of this stuff.
It's a gift that keeps on giving.
But like at the end of your life, wouldn't it be amazing to be like, I was a guest of honor at the Boss Baby Symposium?
Yeah, that would be great. Like, you probably get a little plaque for it too.
Maybe.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Is it shaped like a Is it like a? Oh, so it'd be a briefcase.
It has to be, right?
Yeah, or like the tie and the lapels of the suit.
Yeah, maybe a diaper?
I think that goes to the worst of show.
Okay. Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, the baby diaper award.
And the last note I have is this did, of course, spawn some other films and TV work. In 2018, there was a Netflix series called Boss Baby Back in Business. It produced 49 episodes and one special. And in 2021, you had a sequel called The Boss Baby Family Business, where you had Alec Baldwin returning. There are also rumors of a third Boss Baby film, but as of yet, nothing concrete.
We live in, quite trying times. Austerity, like the price of bread and milk just goes up and up. But there's one thing you can be sure of, is that if there is a third Boss Baby film, we will be there.
Directly from the symposium.
Yes, straight off of my Zoom chat.
That's right.
Well, I'm getting grumpy, Cam. I want to talk about this film. So let's wrap me up and swaddle me, and let's talk about it. Boss Baby.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I found this film to be, on one hand, it's very innocuous. It's colorful. It's bouncy. It has some visual imagination, which we talked about up front with like the chase in the backyard. But there's other things along the way. Some fun little character moments.
Sure.
But I found it's sort of bombardment of visceral imagery and just kind of like shenanigans and hijinks. Just kind of got tiring over the course of the film. This movie's an hour and 37 minutes. I think the credits are like 10 minutes long. And there is a post-credit scene, by the way.
I didn't stick around for that. There's a post-credit scene?
Yeah, Wizzy comes on screen and basically tells the audience to get out of the theater. So,
it's the Ferris Bueller.
Yeah, that kind of thing. But it's like, it's a movie that I had less and less patience for. And there was a point where I paused the movie just to go to the washroom and realized I was only like 40 minutes in. And I was shocked.
I had the exact same realization about 35 minutes in. I went to the bathroom. I was like, oh, there's still an hour to go.
And I want to just make one thing clear to people. I'm actually
sick.
We
have very small bladders.
Well, but I'm also quite sick right now. And so I was like convalescing on the couch with like a sinus cold, right in my head. So like my patience for something that's very, immediate experience only as a Boss Baby film was a little more trying than it might be on a different day. But I just found like I wasn't big on Penguins of Madagascar, but I think that one was a little bit of an easier ride for me than this one, where I really did feel like I would be wowed by some of the animation, and then I would just feel kind of at arm's length with a lot of the storytelling, and a lot of the way the storytelling was driven by chaos.
Okay.
And it just kind of like prevented me from kind of giving myself over. Whereas like, McGrath is mentioning like classic Disney stuff from the 50s or 60s. I could have sat down yesterday and watched, I don't know, 101 Dalmatians or, Bambi or whatever and had no problem. It would have been just completely painless to sit through.
I think I completely understand that. I think it is very mood dependent. I think the problem with this film off the top is, and you actually highlighted it really early on, is it's a kids film.
Yeah.
It's not a family film, and there is a difference. For those who don't know what the difference is, a kids film is a film specifically designed for kids. Like, they're usually fast, they're very poppy, the jokes are very quick, it doesn't stop to take a breath, but there's also not like subtext particularly. There's not really a big like dramatic plot going somewhere in the film, and there's also not like adult jokes weaved in, or not necessarily adult in like a wink wink kind of way, but just like jokes that only adults would get through experience, or things for adults built into the film so the whole family watching it can get it. This is very much in the former category, which is a kids film. So you're both of us were watching this film because we have to watch it for this show.
Yeah.
Neither of us would have ever reached for this film independently in our own lives.
No, and like the director talked about how when he came across the book, he liked the metaphor, but it was also the fact that he grew up with a younger brother.
I felt there must have been something personal in there.
Yeah, and so like he really was making this as sort of a tribute to his brother and their early relationship. And he said,
Sure.
you know, he showed it to his brother and his brother teared up. And so it's like clearly there is thematically something that like for him really connected to his own life and that he was able to pass on to his brother. I'm glad that his brother had that experience, but like when I'm watching the movie, sure, that stuff's all there. I can see it. But
Yeah.
it's so just like taking a back seat in favor of just high speed, eye popping hijinks that is the kind of thing that like if you sit me down and show me like a, you know, 9-minute animated short, it can be an absolute blast.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's stretched out to an hour 37, I just kind of found exhausting in a way small kids would not.
No, because small kids would run off halfway through and get a juice box and come back.
And be running around the room while it's on and things are happening. It's crazy. It's chaos. Yeah.
Yeah. Or they're on their iPad these days or whatever. Yeah, we're not.
That's what Toy Story 5 is still about.
Well, that's fine. I will still go see that because I imagine they'll make comments for adults in that film.
Definitely.
From my point of view, I was surprised at how easy this went down for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think I might have been more in the mood than you. I'm not ill.
Sure.
But it was really just a middle of the road film. It was not revolutionary in any way, shape, or form. I was entertained at moments. There were bits that made me laugh. But it really was like content with a capital C. And I don't purport to say this film was made as content. It was made as a film that someone was passionate about. But for me, it landed like it was content. I wasn't really connected to it because I didn't identify with the story. I don't have that relationship with my brothers, any of them. I love them all, and I've never had a bad relationship with any of them.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand the kid's position of like feeling forgotten by their parents, but I also never felt that. So I couldn't really see myself in that position. And then when you get to the more like wacky tonality stuff of like there being a fact that there is a boss baby and there's a baby boss world and all this sort of stuff, that's fun and poppy and interesting, but it doesn't do much with it.
No, it's like it creates this other world, which is so common in terms of, you know, kids' movies, like the idea of there being kind of this
Go back to cats and dogs right there.
Cats and dogs, but you look at like the Cars universe, which doesn't make a lot of logical sense, but we buy into it, or kids especially buy into it big time.
Sure.
And it's like, great, you know, it can fuel some good stories. I don't mind the original Cars. I think it's pretty good. But with this one, they're halfway there, I feel like. This world of babies, and I actually thought it was a really funny gag off the top, where it's like the babies are tested, and if they basically have no feeling, they go into management. Like, I thought that was a good gag.
Yeah. I feel like one of us would end up in management.
Yeah. And so, like, the idea of, you know, these babies that are kind of like, it's a little bit of like Men in Black kind of idea. The secret society, theirs is more corporate than espionage. But you know what? We haven't tackled a lot of corporate espionage films on this podcast. We have others on the list, but this might be the first.
I think there's a few others we've done, but go on.
I can't think of any, but if you can think of some, let me know.
I'm not going to sidetrack the discussion to find out.
Yeah. But I think like this world is kind of a fun little creation.
Uh-huh.
It's imaginative. You get some fun visuals of this baby universe. I like the way that when they celebrate a big promotion at the end of the film, there's like a sequence that seems almost out of the Wolf of Wall Street, but like the baby version.
Yeah, but they're like dousing them with baby formula and stuff like that.
Yeah,
That was fun.
he's doing like these snow angels in a cake. Like I thought
Yeah.
that was really funny stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I it did raise like a logical question because, and we're like jumping to the end here, but I guess it's like kind of like poking at the world that's established in the film. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so the idea is the boss baby shows up at the house via taxi in a suit and is the family baby, right? Like the
Mhm.
parents are, introducing the young son Tim to the new baby. This is a member of the house.
Mhm.
At the end, there's this whole like, well, I was just here uh, for an assignment. They even acknowledge at one point that babies aren't made the way that people say babies are made. Uh, you know, so then at the end, the baby just goes back and is like, okay, we're gonna basically sweep the house. We're gonna get basically the decon team from Monsters Inc. mixed with minions.
Or the Men in Black team and just use the old neutralizers. Yeah.
But like when this is all said and done, and it seems like babies are arriving via taxi, okay, why was the mom physically pregnant?
I want to get on board with your point, but I feel like you're losing the overall like point of the film by picking on that particular thing.
No, it's like the kid's point of view, right? But like it was something that I was like
I
questioning.
think like the taxi stuff and all of that, like when he whispers to Boss Baby the real like what he thinks kids are made, and Boss Baby's like, no, 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 no.
Yeah,
That's still from the kid's perspective.
definitely.
So like that's from two kids' perspectives and one who technically can't talk.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no logic here. She probably arrived in a taxi and that was it. Like mum's come home from the hospital in taxis. Like that's all it's really talking about. Like I think you're trying to apply logic to an inherently illogical situation.
Well, yeah, I mean, if the entire premise is entirely from Tim's point of view,
Yeah, which I'm asserting it is. Like this is all his creation in his head.
I would assume as well. I think it's a little muddy though. Like I think like
Again, I agree, and I don't want to be combative in the sense of like I don't want to take your point away, but it's like I think this isn't the thing to get hung up on if you're analyzing the film. Like I don't think the film requires itself to be tidy.
entirely fair, but it was something that I was like, you know what, this is at least a talking point because
sorry.
otherwise
Yep.
we're naming our favorite gags in the Boss Baby.
Well, it's actually one of the rare films recently that I didn't fill up my page with notes.
I did, but
I
like
didn't.
a lot of it was conversation topics.
Yeah, is it more things like, well, the mum shouldn't have had a bump. Strap in, folks. You got another 30 minutes of this, I'm sure.
Yes.
No, I had a nice time with it. Like it was fine. It went down well enough. It was a perfectly serviceable hour and 40 minutes with some laughs. And I think ultimately what I came to is I found it to be fun. And if these things aren't fun, if the world isn't poppy, doesn't like at least get my attention a little bit, it's dead on arrival. And I've seen like, I mean, Cats and Dogs 3, dead on arrival.
Yep.
The Spy Kids sequels, basically all dead on arrival, except for 2.
And I don't know that we're going to tackle many animated projects that are really going to fall into that umbrella, but they exist.
Sure.
And they come out usually from companies that aren't the primaries, right? Like it's kind of these cheaper animation ones that'll show up in theaters for a week or two that are just sorry bottom of the barrel stuff, or even like the straight to streaming animated films that a lot of kids watch that seem dire. If you're getting a movie in a theater from DreamWorks or Disney or Illumination, there's going to be a competence level that they're going to usually hit.
Yeah. Well, Cam, I need upsies. Let's talk about the good stuff.
Sure. Why don't you go first?
I will. I think Baldwin is inspired casting. I think he's really the linchpin of this film.
Interesting. I was like,
okay,
is this lazy? Because you had him coming off a 30 Rock. He's doing his Glenn Ross shtick where he says like cookies are for closers.
He's quoting the film, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, and he was also the main dog, I think, in Cats and Dogs.
Playing a similar character.
Is it just kind of like going back to the well of getting him?
I guess you could take it from that perspective. I just think like in another universe where you go like, well, why don't you try something different? And then you hire like it's fucking Tom Holland, and it's like, hello, I'm Tom Holland.
Sure.
My voice hasn't broken yet. And like you want someone who is assertive and boss like. There's not many actors that jump forward in that time period. There are a few, but Alec Baldwin's definitely in that top shuffle. Why not? And it's also like putting a big name on the film. It's Alec Baldwin.
Well, that's the thing. I think that's the DreamWorks approach. And so it's like, of course, just get him. Whereas I think like if it was Pixar or Disney, they would have gone after someone who's maybe more of a character actor or something. Yeah. That would infuse the same qualities, but is a little bit of an outside the box choice. But
perhaps there's a slightly different dynamism to the film. Sure.
It's also like if you're going to advertise Alec Baldwin as the voice of like a sassy boss baby, I mean, you got it.
Like, I'm sure there's a trailer out there that's like Baldwin is a baby or something like that. And it's like him doing goo goo gaga stuff, but like goo goo gaga, like he's doing a full Baldwin voice.
I have the poster or at least one of the posters for the film on my screen right now because of the Internet Movie Database page. And it literally is a picture of the baby holding up a cookie. At the top of the screen, it says Alec Baldwin is the boss baby. And on the bottom, it says cookies are for closers.
So this film is partially built around the fact that Alec Baldwin is doing it.
Yes.
So like I think then that this is obviously an early linchpin in the creation of the film is getting him on board. So I have no problem with him. Is it a bit lazy? Sure, but like also, do you not want to try and cast the best person? And if the best person happens to be the biggest actor of the list that you've got, and they say yes, sure. Like if you're going to cast a Spider-Man film, and they don't mind having old Spider-Man, then you'd look at all the Spider-Man that came before. Is it lazy to have someone who played Spider-Man come back and play Spider-Man? Maybe, but also you're getting someone who played Spider-Man.
No, that's true. And when I look at like the rest of the voice cast, he's probably the best utilized of their stars. Because like
Tobey Maguire doesn't. I know I mentioned Spider-Man just because of this, but like he could have been anyone.
Yep, and same with Jimmy Kimmel and Lisa Kudrow.
Yep.
Like, and the villain, like Steve Buscemi, I love Steve Buscemi. I don't think this is as inspired a work as his Monsters, Inc. villain.
It barely sounded like him, I have to say, which is, I guess, voice acting 101.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think it sounded like it didn't need to be Buscemi.
I can understand why originally they went with Kevin Spacey, who has that kind of very strong boss mode that you would see in a lot of movies. I think of like 21 even, where he's doing that. And I can see how you would have a back and forth between him and Alec Baldwin would actually have that kind of matching tones in terms of these strong boss types of, authoritative tones.
Sure. And he was a boss baby himself.
Exactly. Yes.
So, yeah. But I think Alec Baldwin is great, and he sells a lot of the moments. Like, there's a lot of farcity in this film. A lot of odd things that occur that you have to just take as writ. And I think Alec Baldwin selling it to you is a lot easier to swallow.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
I think it's just like gags that work along the way, because ultimately that's what's going to keep your attention.
Sure.
And we talked about the chase in the backyard. That was fun. I thought the Elvis convention bit was actually really funny too, of them having to go undercover as Elvis impersonators. I was a little disappointed we didn't get to see more of Vegas. I was hoping they would get a little more Vegas depth along the way.
There's probably some jokes you could have made with Vegas.
Yeah, I think so. I did like the bachelorette party that picked them up. I thought that was actually really funny.
Nice.
And also a character who I think was actually pretty helpful to the film in terms of visual gags was the the family lineage gets a little convoluted, but the like brother initially set up of the villain, Eugene, who initially shows up dressed as like a giant dog. I thought that gag was hilarious, of the very terrifying looking dog mascot. The way that
we've all sat on those laps before,
right? Just yesterday,
I'm sitting on one right now.
Yeah. That was, I thought, a funny gag. Whenever they showed that creepy looking dog mascot, because it works on two levels. It works because adults just laugh at how silly it is,
Hmm.
but also to kids, those types of mascots can actually be quite scary looking.
Yeah, like that's what it's dialing into, this idea, because again, it's from Tim's perspective, the lead character, the hero.
Yeah.
Um, it is you. Some, I mean, sometimes you see these people in masks and they look great, and you think it's Santa,
Hmm.
but sometimes it looks like a weirdo in a mask, and it's scary, and I totally get that.
Go back and just hop on Google Images and search up like early Easter photos of like
Yeah,
the Easter bunny,
haunting.
where there's like, yeah, there's terrifying looking Easter bunnies and there's these kids like screaming in their laps. Like
Uh-huh.
they're really funny, but you can
Yeah.
understand how as a 3-year-old you look at this face born out of hell and be absolutely like terrified.
I mean, you instantly hop on its lap, though, right?
Obviously, yes.
Yeah.
But I thought like Eugene was well served because then of course you get him posing as sort of a Mrs. Doubtfire-esque
Mm-hmm.
nanny. I thought that was pretty funny.
I
Um,
I quite liked some of the dreamier sequences when it was more his imagination.
yeah, I was gonna mention those.
Yeah, the ninja sequence I think is one of the ones, and there's another one where he's playing a spy
Right, okay.
and he's like assaulting the meeting and stuff like that.
Yeah, you have him wearing like the spy vision goggles.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like the ninja mode, and there's a little bit of zombie movie stuff going on as well there.
Yep.
Too.
Coming to Redbubble soon. Your spy vision glasses, I'm sure.
I thought that was a fun little gimmick, the
Yeah.
spy vision glasses.
Yeah.
You also just have off the top, it's like him in the Congo
Mm-hmm.
battling like a gorilla in like a fun art style.
Yeah, or them on the pirate ship later on.
Yeah, and also like the shark as well, like the fight with the shark where they go inside the shark.
Mm-hmm. But like, for those who haven't seen the film, a lot of these like dream sequences change the art style. Like it's
Mhm.
not the usual DreamWorks art style that the film is based on. It's all different. There's like hand drawn animations on one of them and stuff. Like there's like a 2D sequence I think at one point as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's nice that the director and the team felt like they could play with those moments because they could just sell them exactly the same way as the animation as the rest of the film, and it would still make sense.
And some of them look like pop-up books as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I quite like that too. I think it was good, a good list there.
I did appreciate as well when Eugene was watching the Julia Child cooking show and just the complete parody of Julia Child's voice. I thought that was actually pretty funny.
See, that didn't land for me at all because I don't know who that is.
Okay. Yeah, like, I mean, it's outdated even for me to know, but there was a movie called Julia and Julia with Meryl Streep playing Julia Child, and Julia Child was like a very influential TV cooking host
Mhm.
back in the day, and that movie kind of tells that kind of biographic story. But just hearing the voice made me laugh for sure. It's a very funny impersonation.
I figured it was reference to something.
Well, how did the other references work for you? Because you have like a very overt Raiders of the Lost Ark reference as well when they're like switching out a file.
That worked for me because I just know that film.
It felt so obvious to me though.
Yeah, but we all know where it was going to go. But I guess this is how you sell these moments to kids.
Do kids know Raiders of the Lost Ark, or is that for the adults?
That's probably for the adults.
In which case, I'm like, it's the most obvious reference humanly possible. Like when you want to give the adults something that they kind of lean forward a little bit for.
Well, I think the smart thing to do would be to subvert it, which they kind of do.
Do they?
Well, you do get the boulder in the sense of a silver ball bearing.
Yeah.
But then, like, it's more like the mousetrap game where the cage lands on them and then the guy appears.
True.
So it's slightly different.
I'm glad you brought up Mousetrap. Another talking point. What year is this set in?
That's a good question. I mean, based on the tech and stuff, there's like cameras they're using, and I would say like the 80s.
It's probably the 80s, right? Because I think like 80s was a big time for corporate culture.
There's alarm clocks, which we don't use anymore.
Rock'em Sock'em Robots are seen on screen. Voltron at one point is held up.
Yeah.
So it has to be the 80s, I would assume.
Yeah. But they don't feel the need to like have a newspaper where it's like 1985, blah 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 blah. Like it's just we can pick up these things contextually. It doesn't need to talk about it really.
Totally.
And one thing it was nice to see, as I mean, Cam, you and I both have very silly middle names.
Mm,
It was nice to see us represented in film form.
that's right. Yeah, yeah. Because you had Leslie as a middle name for Tim here,
Yeah,
and mine is Verrill,
yeah. And then Lindsay was the other kid,
right?
and mine is Tiberius.
Yeah, that's true.
So mock away, folks. Trust me, we've heard it all.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
Agents, where are you? Why do you hide? Follow that Patreon trail and make SpyHards your guide.
That's right. From Spy TV reviews covering the antics of George Smiley, Jack Bauer, and the Slow Horses to reviews of non-spy movies from your favorite spy actors, there's no more secrets over on our Patreon. But Cam, tell the listeners about this week's top secret broadcast.
Hey Scott, do you hear an SOS? Because this week we are tackling the 1972 disaster epic, The Poseidon Adventure, starring Gene Hackman, Ernest Borgnine, Shelley Winters, and of course, one-time Matt Helm love interest, Stella Stevens. Is this Irwin Allen-produced blockbuster still worth catching a wave for? Tune in and find out.
So, tune your dial to patreon.com/spyhards and spice up your podcast feed.
But before Nick Knack runs out of Tabasco, resume the Spy Jinx.
All right, for all the upsies, there must be some downsies. Let's talk about it. We've already mentioned something, so we'll probably breeze through this because I don't want to keep you guys too long on the Boss Baby review. I don't think it was actually enough spy stuff for me, if I'm being critical of it. Like there's mentions, there's homage, but it's barely a spy movie.
It's tough because in terms of like what we think of as spycraft, it's definitely kind of on the line. But the corporate espionage element is probably strong enough that I think it does count. It's just not what we think of as what we typically cover on the show.
Yeah, it's not Ethan Hunt rappelling from the rafters to steal the knock list.
No.
It is not James Bond infiltrating, Largo ship or something like that. You know what I mean? Like it's not the classics.
Well, they are going in disguise, breaking
Yeah.
into top secret areas, stealing top secret files, to take down like a evil villain.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when you think about it, it's kind of like corporate espionage is the word, but it's basically like a disgruntled ex-employee takes company secrets and starts up his own business.
Yeah.
Like it is a real life thing, just blown up to 1 billion.
It is, yeah.
I think the other problem I've got, and then I'll throw to you, is like it does set up some thematic discussion points about this whole idea of being forgotten by your parents. The real fear of isolation, I guess, that some kids have when they have a new sibling in the house, and especially if you've been an only child for a long period of time, I imagine that is a real fear. I didn't have it myself, but some. And I feel like it never really brings that home.
No. I mean, it's the fact that two just bond together.
Yeah.
And that's that. Like there's a sweet little moment, I suppose, where it's like initially the boss baby is using an abacus to show how little love the parents have left for Tim now that the baby's arrived.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like this like pretty, harsh Alec Baldwin delivered little bit of business. But at the end you have Tim sending via mail all of these different abacus blocks or whatever they're called to the boss baby to show how much he's
They're
loved.
called abakai.
Sure. To show how much he's loved. And so that's what kind of ultimately solves the emotional crisis of the film. Nice moment. The reunion between the two it makes sense. It does not, though, notably set itself up for sequels.
Yeah, it really is like a one and done because he shouldn't have any skill when he comes back.
And they do set up a girl at the end, but that's more like
The future.
The idea of continuing with the Alec Baldwin character. They ended on a note where you'd have to be bending over backwards, which I'm sure they will handily in Boss Baby Family Business.
I canny wait.
Mm-hmm.
Like a baby that can't sleep through the night. I will be waking up every 20 minutes just to cry out for Boss Baby 2.
Which is longer than the first.
Oh, it's like I'm teething.
Hmm.
This baby's got colic. It won't shut up. Um, yeah, I just think like if you're going to have a deeper subplot about this whole idea of a kid feeling isolated, maybe do something that brings it home a bit more. And there's a nice moment where like the parents at one point acknowledge that the kid might feel a little bit left out.
Mm-hmm.
But these are some real like Home Alone parents. They're some of the worst.
Yeah, they're invisible through the movie.
Yeah. Which it's kind of how you want your parents to be sometimes. As like kids, you want to have fun with your siblings and not get caught by your parents. But this whole thing is it starts off as him wanting to be seen by his parents, and then the parents basically just disappear.
Yeah.
And if there is actual real peril happening, like these kids are flying to Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm. Are they?
Well, I mean, this is the question. Like, and we could get into the wider idea of the narrator of this film. Is it reliable, or is this all a fever dream of like the imagination of a 5-year-old, 7-year-old?
In which case, you have to just imagine then this entire movie takes place within one room or something, like a room in a backyard.
Or the house.
Yeah.
Which I guess removes a lot of the stakes. But then you start to question why the other adults are involved.
There's a lot of questions, I think, just through the world building they have in the movie that you're never quite really sure what's going on.
Yeah, and I don't think you're really ever expected to figure it out, and I don't think they care to answer it. I guess this is just what happened when you click on an hour and a half review of The Boss Baby.
It's not going to keep you awake at night, like
No.
questioning the logistics of the movie, but you can understand why there was a symposium and why they felt there was enough for people to pick at in terms of ambiguity to the story.
Yeah, I think there's something interesting in there. I like some of the ideas that this thing is playing with, but it does not have the heft or weight behind its story to answer any of those questions.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I think like my weak link, and we've talked about the story elements up front that I just did not connect to, but like the villain I thought was pretty weak.
Yeah, pretty nothing burger of a villain. I understand the idea of a perpetual pet. Like I like that, I guess, but then like I like the idea of pets growing with you, and I like the fact that I don't like pets dying. I've never liked any of my pets dying, but
Sure.
it teaches you as a youth something interesting.
I just had trouble with that initial conflict, which is that the entire thing is driven by babies versus puppies.
Which it goes into another meta discussion of this film, which is something I noted down about the whole like societal collapse and the fact that our birth rates are rapidly dropping.
Yeah.
But that's
not because people think puppies are cuter.
Well, it's because people are not having babies and often having pets instead, because pets are less hassle and cheaper.
Yeah, economically, that's what's driving it. Whereas,
I don't want to raise kids in the world that we live in now, let alone the world that we're going to live in 20 years. So I'm choosing not to have kids for many reasons, but like I'm contributing to this problem.
Sure, but it's also not like you desperately wanted kids and then you saw a puppy and said, you know what? Forget it.
Yeah.
I want the puppy instead.
Yeah, I've wanted I wanted a dog since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I've never wanted kids.
Yeah, and so like to me the central argument of the movie is that puppies are going to take the attention away from babies in terms of what people want. And I'm like, well, I don't buy that at all. The only thing I buy is that the puppies will take more attention on social media or something like that. That is another argument, but this is set in the 80s and that's not a thing.
Yeah, well also the societal collapse wasn't happening in the 80s. This is really a 2000s problem. First started in places like Japan and now has sort of gone mostly over the Western world.
Yeah.
That would probably be my 15 minutes at the Boss Baby convention.
Very serious. Very serious.
About how you reverse the birth rate decline through the medium of Boss Baby.
But when you have a villain who that's the drive is this kind of central premise that I think you can poke a lot of holes in, it doesn't leave you with a lot. And then they set this character up about halfway through the movie as this, portrait in the Hall of Babies.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, well, they seem to be really focusing on this one painting. And then you get the reveal that the villain, like, I don't know, 10 minutes later is this character. And it's like, okay, sure.
But that also doesn't make sense when you think about the wider world because, okay, so he is lactose intolerant, so doesn't take the formula anymore. Just stop being perpetually a baby.
Yeah.
The baddie. But our boss baby stops taking the potion
Mm-hmm.
and loses all his memory
Yes.
and is reborn a baby again.
Yes.
So why was the other guy not reborn a baby with no memory?
If this entire movie is driven by just like what this kid with a wild imagination is telling us,
Yeah. Then none of this matters.
that's what it's telling you, is basically like none of the rules make sense, so don't think about it, which I think you have to have some sort of like structure that at least makes logical sense.
Well, I think you do and you don't. Like, I think there is enough, like, gravity exists. People have to eat and drink in this film. Like, there's enough touchstones for you to understand the world. The whole, like, logic of one person having memories, one person didn't. You could also say that the boss baby at the end did, like, wink. Like, it does have a little bit of that boss baby memory. So who knows?
I would say there is a dividing line though between the great family films
Mm-hmm.
and the, programmer family films in terms of how well thought out the storytelling is.
Sure, and I think this falls into the latter of the two.
Yeah.
Final notes. I've got two things to discuss. Firstly, they clearly got the rights to Blackbird and wanted to milk that extensively.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
It did actually inspire me to get my guitar out of the case and play Blackbird afterwards. So that was nice.
Oh, did you?
I still remember it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I was going to play us out with a rendition, but I just don't really want to perform on the guitar on the thing anymore.
right. Yeah. And also, we would just get flagged on Spotify for that
Yeah, and you all know the song.
one. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
I had a couple things. I liked Wizzy, the basically Gandalf character in the
Yeah.
kid's room.
Mhm.
That was a fun addition. Although then that's what was making me question the timeline even more, because that's very Lord of the Rings,
Sure.
which was getting popular in the 2000s. The books exist, but like a kid his age would know the movies more than the books, I would assume.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fair enough.
Yeah. I like just some of the sound effects. Like there's a part where like I think it's the boss baby jumps through the air and you hear the sound effect from the Bionic Man, the old
Sure.
TV show.
Mm-hmm.
You also had whenever the baby landed, it was the superhero pose of the punching the ground, which now is the biggest cliche. They were pointing out in Black Widow, the movie in 2020, I think.
Yes.
And this is 2017. So
Yep.
they're a little ahead of the curve.
It looks silly then, looks silly now. And they pointed out and they still do it.
Also, speaking of superheroes, there's a point where the parents for their jobs are running to these poles and they flip up a statue and press the button. And it is very
Classic
much the Batman
Batman.
66. Yeah.
Yeah. The only other note I had is at the end of the film, you get a Deus Ex Machina, I guess, in the sense of like the baby's coming and erasing the world. Well, it's not a Deus Ex Machina, but it is like a reset button. And I don't really want to talk about the ethics of that, but what I would like to ask you is if you could use the magic wand to delete one memory, what would you delete?
To be honest with you, I don't know that I have any like memories that haunt me particularly. I'm trying to think of like the funny answer. No, I'm pretty good.
He apparently Cam has lived a life of ease, folks. He breezed through his teenage years, never a clumsy moment with a girl. He was fine.
I mean, those ones don't bother me though. There's nothing that I really live with that I really struggle with.
One that keeps me up at night that I would delete is we used to have to. I was part of the expressive arts group in high school.
Yeah,
it's a drama club basically. Shocking, right? And we all had to audition plays to and write them if we wanted, or you could write, or you could be in them, or whatever. You could direct. And you go forward and you do the expressive arts festival at the school, the best ones, and the best, like they were picked by individual teachers, and then the best ones would be at the show. And I decided, in my wisdom, in 1999, maybe 2001, maybe something like that. Maybe I was 13, 12, maybe. No, I was definitely 12. To write and star in an adaptation of Resident Evil, the video game.
Oh my god.
I got costumes. I got fake beards, cap guns, all kinds of stuff. And I was convinced I could fit what is about a 10-hour game into a half-hour presentation. Only I didn't write it. I just sort of taught the people in the group what they had to do.
Oh my god.
And it got through the first stage. So then they're like, okay, you're doing this in front of the whole school.
Oh no.
So it happens. We're like, I have to do like an open narration, like to sort of set the scene. And it's like, dawn breaks over Raccoon City Forest, gunshots and howls of, cries of pain in the distance, setting the scene, fire billows, darkness envelops the land. You're lost in a forest. All you can see is your partner, and you're running. And then we start running on the spot, and we start firing our cap guns. And then the lead music teacher goes, yeah, you're done. And he literally plays us off on his piano.
Wow. You got the hook.
Totally got the hook. We all just sort of hung our heads and walked off, and I've never spoken about that since. That was a genuine thing that happened to me. And it didn't teach me much, maybe brevity, but it just sits with me as a really embarrassing moment.
But isn't it like the funnier story though to have that?
I guess it's like a character building story. I just cringe a lot when I think of it. Like, why did I think I could do that?
I just think of like cringeworthy stories though as like kind of funny more in retrospect. So I don't really I'm not haunted by any of them. And like the things that are unpleasant in life, I'm like, well, I probably learned something from it. So I don't know that erasing it would do any good.
Maybe. Okay. Well, Cam would apparently erase his imagination to come up with a funny moment to use the wand on. So there you go.
Well, I can tell you, there's a podcast guest appearance I would definitely erase from my memory, but
Oh, I dare not ask what that was. I know exactly what you're talking about. Well, that's final notes. It means it's time for
Knock list. Knock list. Knock list. Knock list. The knock list. Knock list. Knock list. Knock list. You need to pick a side.
Yes, that's right. It's our list of the need to see official classics, the films that if you want to figure out what a good spy movie is, or just what a spy movie is, you stick on this list. By the end of it, I mean, you're a bit of a broken person, but you'd know.
Yes, you would.
Thank you, Cam. So, we have to answer the question, is Boss Baby making the list? Cameron?
Keep your boss baby business out of my business, baby.
He's been sitting on that one for an hour and a half.
You're damn right I have been.
I'm not going to belabor the point. It's a no from me. 2 interesting concepts. Probably some big ideas in here that they never quite stick the landing of. But yeah, it's not a heady film. And nor is it particularly a good spy movie.
No, I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, it's the kind of thing put on for your kids, I guess. And leave it at that.
And if you're 2 sad old dudes like us that don't have kids, we will just sit there in a corner and wonder why we did this.
Exactly. And we'll think the same when we do the sequel.
Strap in, folks. But there you go, 2 no's, and as such, The Boss Baby is not making the knock list. The dossier on the film is complete and filed as classified. And you may have heard about it on last week's episode. You may not have, but we want to hear from you moving forward. Do you have a burning passion for Boss Baby? Do you think it should be the front line center act of the knock list? Let us know. mail@spyhards.com. Write us an email with your thoughts on Boss Baby. I'll also be putting a blast out on social media, and the best comments will get read out on next week's show. We want to keep a conversation going from now on, so we want your feedback on these films. Have we missed the mark, or have we hit it straight on? Speaking of on, what's on next week?
Well, Scott, I think I should actually be asking you, what are we doing next week?
I see. I see what you did there. Very smart, Cam. Very wise, as you always are. But next week I won't need you.
That's right.
Because last month in December, we celebrated the 60th anniversary of Thunderball by doing a live show here in London at the Riverside Studio Cinema. Great turnout there, and we had the wonderful Martine Beswick join us. We've never had her on the show before, so we did a live Q&A along with, the lovely Catherine Vinclair. frequent flyer here on SpyHards. Me and her sort of hosted this screening of the film, followed by a Q&A, and we're going to bring you the Q&A. You've been asking for it. A lot of people asked us at the event. I've had some messages since saying, when are we going to hear the audio from this? Well, next week. That's when you're going to hear it. And basically, it's a good way of getting Martine on the show as well, because we did it live. So your mission, should you choose to accept it, folks, is to join us next week as myself and Miss Catherine Vinclair sit down with the lovely Martine Beswick to talk about From Russia with Love, Thunderball, and more. Thank you for tuning in to our Boss Baby review. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you let us know what you think of our picks on the knock list or your thoughts on Boss Baby. Remember, mail@spyhards.com. That's mail@spyhards.com. Come and find us over on our Patreon. Help support the show. You know, it's post-Christmas. Everyone's probably not flush with cash right now, but if you do have a bit spare, we'd love to have you over on the Patreon. And it just helps fund the show, because this is getting weirdly more expensive by the year. Despite us running it for so long, we should be pretty good at it. It seems to get more expensive to run this show.
Well, you can also hop over there for some animation as well. We have tackled Toy Story and The Jungle Book. We did Wallace and Gromit and The Were-Rabbit. And who knows what we'll do in 2026's April.
Yeah, Animation April is coming up in a few months. That could be fun. So come and find us at patreon.com/spyhards and continue the conversation. If you don't want to email us, we'll be posting about Boss Baby. I'll be putting a particular post asking about your thoughts on it not making the knock list during the week before we record the intro to next week's episode. So come and put your thoughts on there if you don't want to send us an email. We'd love to hear from you all the same. You can find us at SpyHards. That's SpyHards, wherever you get your social media. But until next week, folks, 3, 2, 1, say naked!